Welcome, all four of our fans, to another episode of the Jas and Tony Show. I'm Anthony Tridelli. With me, as usual, is my co-host, Jas Kang. Today, we're going to have a special edition Super Bowl Jas and Tony Show. All football, no hockey, no Olympics, no baseball, just football talk today. We're going to talk about, of course, who we think is going to win the Super Bowl. Is it going to be the Eagles or the Patriots? We're going to go over whether Carson Wentz or Nick Foles will both be back in Philadelphia next season, or if it'll just be Wentz or just be Foles. We're going to talk about if Tom Brady is the best professional athlete of all time. You'd be surprised about which one of us thinks he is and thinks he isn't. And then, of course, most interesting prop bets, which we're going to start it off with. So, Jas, every year there's a bunch of very interesting prop bets on the Super Bowl.
Yep.
This year is no exception. So, for you, what do you think is going to be the most interesting prop bet?
Well, I think there's a lot of ridiculous ones that we can look at. But I always like the national anthem one. The over/under this year is set at 2 minutes and 3 seconds. 2 minutes and 3.5 seconds, because obviously you have to have the over/under. Also, I like some of the ones they're doing with Justin Timberlake. This one, is he going to be wearing a hat during his performance at all? I'm saying yes, so you can put some money on that one. There's a bunch of interesting ones, as there always is with the Super Bowl. But if you're talking about the game itself, first touchdown scorer, pretty good odds on a few of the guys. If you had to take one guy from each of the teams, who would you go with?
I think with the Patriots, I'd go with James White. White is a Super Bowl stud. I mean, he helped lead the comeback last year against the Falcons. They go to him on the goal line pretty regularly, especially in the Super Bowl. So if you're going Patriots, I would say James White. If you're going Eagles, I would actually go with Jay Ajayi. I don't think the Patriots are going to let LeGarrette Blount run a touchdown in on them. I just think they know him too well. They know his tendencies. Ajayi is a very good running back. And I don't think they're going to give Nick Foles the opportunity to throw an interception near the end zone, especially to start the game. They're going to make it easier for him. So I think Ajayi, or for the Patriots, White. I think the most interesting prop bet for me, though, is whether Donald Trump is going to kneel during the national anthem. How ridiculous is that?
Yeah,
if you bet on that,
stupid.
if you bet he will kneel, you are throwing money away.
Just send it to us. Just send it to us. We need the money. You want to send us $5-10 on that? It's 100 to 1 if he does kneel during the anthem. But you have to be an idiot to kind of.
I mean, unless he chokes on a hot dog or something, and kind of kneels. And like, I mean, that could count as a kneel, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
that would. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the most interesting one, actually, for me, more entertainment-wise, besides the Trump one, is Pink going to say Eagles before, during, or after her national anthem performance?
What's your pick?
I'm going to say after. I think she doesn't want the audience probably to know beforehand that she's an Eagles fan.
Yeah.
I think she's going to wait to do her performance, and then she'll say it after. That's what I would put money on.
Yeah, I'm liking. I think it always makes it fun too. I mean, on Super Bowl weekend, you can throw money on really the dumbest things that you could think of. But if you're looking at it, another interesting prop bet. Will the Patriots score a touchdown in the first quarter of the game? Interesting fact, they haven't in any of their 7 previous appearances, so that's a good option to lay some money on. Another good prop bet I do like coming into this one is, will Justin Timberlake sing a Prince cover song, which I think we both agree, being in Minnesota and the legend that Prince was there, I definitely would say that he's going to. I
agree, yeah, I think so as well. And coming up next, our next topic, Tom Brady has a chance to win his 6th Super Bowl in this Sunday's game. If he does win it, do you think he's the best professional athlete of all time? And let's be honest, we know it's between him and one other guy, of course, Michael Jordan. So what's your pick? Do you think he's better, or do you think Jordan's better overall?
I'm going to go with Brady. If he's able to win this one, I mean, this is Super Bowl number 8, and if you look at it, I love Michael Jordan, so please, you know what, MJ, if you're watching this, which we know you're not,
he's one of our 4 fans.
To it.
He's one of our 4 fans.
If he's one of our 4 fans, I'll take it.
Biggest upset of all time. If he's one of our 4 fans, then bet on Donald Trump kneeling during the Super Bowl.
You know what, Michael Jordan, I think that what elevates him up to the level that he is, like he's like a godlike creature to any sports fan really who grew up in North America, is the fact he was 6-0 in the finals. Now Brady obviously has a couple of losses in the Super Bowl, both to the Giants, and I know you love Eli Manning, but overall I think if you look at what Brady has done and for the length of time that he's done it, this is going on 17 years now. He's in his 8th Super Bowl, so basically for half my adult life, Tom Brady has been in the Super Bowls. That's crazy, right? Not my adult life, my entire life. Brady has been a part of the NFL, and of those, half of that time he's been in the Super Bowl. If you look at how many he wins, he equals Jordan in terms of matching him with 6, but Brady's 40, and when Jordan was 39-40, he was playing on the Wizards. Team didn't even make the playoffs. He was averaging, I think, 19, just under 20 a game. And you look at Brady, probably going to win MVP again this year. I definitely would go with Tom over Michael Jordan in this case. What about you, Patriots lover?
I think actually 2 reasons why he is not the best all-time athlete compared to Michael Jordan. First one isn't his fault. The first one, obviously, by the nature of football, Tom Brady isn't on the field to play defense. Jordan was regarded as one of the best defensive players of his time, including being one of the best players of all time. So it's not Brady's fault that he doesn't get to be on the field and play defense. Obviously, seeing some of the tackles he tried to make on on fumble returns, that he probably wouldn't be a good defender. He does keep the ball off the field. Obviously, when he has the ball, he keeps the other offense off the field. But it just, by the nature of the game, he can't have a direct effect on the other team's offense as a defensive player. So I think that's one reason. The other reason is the coaching. People say, yeah, Michael Jordan had Phil Jackson, but Phil Jackson also did not have quite as a direct impact on the game as Bill Belichick does, just by the nature of the sports. Again, football and basketball. Football is such a strategic game. It's stopped in between every play. There's time to kind of figure out what your strategy is going to be, and that makes a football coach far more effective, I think, than a basketball coach. Phil Jackson, yeah, he was the wizard or whatever they called him back then.
Zen Master.
Zen Master,
yeah.
The Harry Potter, whatever. But I mean,
Harry Potter. I don't know if Harry Potter
Harry Potter's a wizard.
It, but okay,
he's a wizard. He's the best wizard of all time, probably.
Young millennials, right? That's
No, I'm not. Nope. Refuse to be branded as that. So, I think overall, by no fault of Brady's own, I think Jordan still is the best professional athlete of all time.
And you don't think that? Okay, so if Brady gets to 7, let's say they win this year, he gets back next year. First NFL team to win 3 Super Bowls in a row if they could do it. That wouldn't change your opinion on it?
I think that does change things. I mean, you mentioned the longevity. 3 in a row has never been done. If you're going to be the best athlete of all time over an athlete who does get to do something you don't, play defense, I think you have to do, not that he hasn't already done a bunch of unusual things, but he has to do that many more. 3 Super Bowls in a row, no team has ever done that. So I think that would bring him closer. But again, it's just, maybe it has to do with the athletic skill involved in playing offense and defense. It's just, to me, that doesn't compute. You can't be the best athlete of all time and not be a defender.
Well, I think that's a tough way to look at it because, I mean, yes, Jordan was a great defender as well as, I mean, lights out as an offensive player. But I think if you look at it, I mean, the impact on the game, I think it always comes down to, okay, if you took that guy off the team and replaced him with someone else, would they win? And I think you can say no to both those guys. Now, but again, I think the deciding factor in this is Tom Brady has done this for so long, and yes, people do forget those 10 years in between Super Bowls that they didn't win. That team was still a favorite every single time, you know what I mean? You never thought, oh, the Patriots don't really have a chance this year. You were like, okay, they're going to win the division, they're going to be in the playoffs, they made a few AFC championship games that they didn't, they made it to the Super Bowl during that time a couple times as well. So I think if you compare the two, going 6-2 in the Super Bowl or in the finals, let's say, compared to Jordan 6-0, but doing it over the length of time, and as dominant as Brady has been, I think you have to look at him as the greatest athlete, sports, of our time, really, at this point. I mean, we're not, and I apologize to you, baby boomers, we can't go back to the Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain Jays because we don't know anything about them. We weren't around, right? But overall, to me, I think it is a 2-horse race between those two. It's between Brady and Jordan, and if Brady gets it done on Sunday, he's definitely taking the top.
Trust me, yeah, it kills me to argue against this because obviously it kills, part of my heart just died. But I mean, that's where it is. Our next topic, with Nick Foles taking over for Carson Wentz towards the end of the season and having so much success, do you think Nick Foles will be back in Philadelphia next season? I mean, obviously, we're not stupid. They're not going to get rid of Carson Wentz. But, I mean, what do you think Nick Foles' future is?
I think this is a really interesting debate. If you look at it from an objective point of view, and you look at the investment they made in Carson Wentz, trading up to the number 2 pick with the Browns, giving up a couple of first-rounders, the answer should be easy. But if you look at what this team has tried to accomplish this playoff time with Nick Foles, I mean, he had a great NFC Championship game. He lit up the Vikings defense, which everybody was saying is the best in the league, hands down, and the Vikings are going to be able to swallow up Foles. They didn't. He had a couple of deep bombs. He had one to, Torrey Smith that was great off the flea flicker. I think the decision is a little bit harder. This has only happened a couple of times before. Once is after the 1991 Super Bowl, Jeff Hostetler with the Giants. He ended up coming back, beating out Phil Simms in the training camp competition there. And number 2 was Trent Dilfer back in the 2002 Super Bowl. One with the Baltimore Ravens, ultimately ended up letting him go, and he ended up going to Seattle. So, I think if you look at it, if Foles gets the job done, he's still young enough, relatively, that you can still kind of go with him. I think you have to give him a shot to at least win the job next year, don't you?
I don't think so, but I think it's a win-win for the Eagles. I think, obviously, all of a sudden you have 2 assets. You have Wentz, you have Foles. Why not trade Foles? I mean, there's got to be a team dumb enough to give you, I don't know, maybe dumb's not the right word.
Okay.
There's got to be a team aggressive enough to give you something, especially before the draft for Nick Foles. And yeah, he's played well, but you gave up so much to draft Carson Wentz second overall. It's just not, I think it would be a dumb decision. If you look at another comparison that you could make is, and I've read a couple articles, is Brady taking over for Bledsoe in the year 2001 after I think they'd given Bledsoe like a 10-year, $100-something million contract.
Yeah.
But Brady played the whole season. He played basically Foles played the entire playoffs, but Brady played the whole season. He really had a longer track record than Foles did in terms of a full season performance. Although I did argue in a previous show that Foles had a, maybe that was in class. Anyway, I think you can't compare the whole Brady-Bledsoe situation to the Foles-Wentz situation. I think if you're the Eagles, you look for somebody to trade Foles to right before the draft.
But you don't think they would owe him something, even in terms of like the fact that, you know what, he took him to a Super Bowl. I mean, and the Eagles have never won one. And this guy, you know, regardless of, yes, Carson Wentz was having a great season, in my opinion, probably would have won the MVP over Brady had he not gotten hurt. You know, even then, yes, you look at the age thing and you look at the investment you made in Carson Wentz and how great he was. Man, the Eagles are still doing their thing. I mean, they beat a good Atlanta offense. They, you know, in that game, the divisional round, it did come down to a last play in the defense was stellar. But, I mean, Foles got the job done. And if he's able to deliver you a championship, something you've never experienced before, I think you have to at least take a long look at the fact maybe you keep him, maybe you try and trade Wentz and you can get a boatload of things for him too. But I think turning your back on him and kind of not giving him at least a little bit of thought to keeping this guy, depending on his performance. I mean, if he comes out and craps a bed and the Patriots light him up, obviously I think it's an easy answer. But if, and it's a big if, but if Nick Foles comes out, throws for 250 yards, 3 touchdown passes, doesn't turn it over, which he's good at protecting the ball, doesn't throw a lot of picks, why wouldn't you at least entertain the idea?
I think here's what you owe him if you're the Philadelphia Eagles and he wins the Super Bowl this year. First of all, don't send him to Cleveland. Obviously, don't bury him his career in Cleveland. Give him a chance to do what the Patriots probably did with Garoppolo. Send him somewhere where he's got a chance to succeed. And then replace that dumb Rocky statue with a statue of him.
Yeah, that's a good deal, right?
Yeah, and on that topic, our fourth and final topic of the day, who's going to win? Who's your pick for the Super Bowl 52?
This is going to be a very close game. When have the Patriots not played an entertaining Super Bowl game? You know, I think that's one of the big things when you look at it as well. Every single time it's, a very close game, a one-score game. I think it's going to be an ugly start. I think both the offenses are going to kind of struggle, and they're going to get a feel for each other. Might only be a couple of field goals in the first quarter, but I do think the Patriots are going to pull it out. My prediction for the score is going to be 28-21 for the Patriots.
One touchdown victory. I also will go with the Patriots. I think people have been talking a lot about the matchups leading up to the Super Bowl. Obviously, the Patriots have the advantage at coach and quarterback.
By the way, the guy from New Hampshire and Boston fan through and through is taking the Patriots to win.
Yeah. Oh, hey, don't forget that I just almost committed hurry by saying that Tom Brady was not the best athlete of all time. But that being said, they have the advantage at coach and quarterback, which is two of the most vital positions, obviously, on the football field. Coach not being a real position, but you know what I mean.
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, Belichick over Doug, and Peterson's done a great job as well.
Yeah.
Especially dealing with the issues that Jason Peters is out. Their left tackle, which is a huge position on the field, and obviously your quarterback. I think those are two, or maybe even the top 3 important positions you have as a football team. But when you look at this game overall and you look at the matchup, do you think there's any way the Eagles can win? Yeah,
absolutely. I think the recipe always for getting to Tom Brady and forcing him to have a bad game is getting to the quarterback, and the Eagles can do that. Not to mention, I mean, I didn't say that the Patriots are going to win big. I think it's going to be even. I think it's going to be a field goal. I mean, I think it'll be a one-score game as well. Obviously, the Philadelphia Eagles defense is pretty vaunted, and I've heard a lot of analysts say that leading up to the game that they can get to the quarterback without having to blitz, which is a huge advantage because then you can cover up Brady's passing options, keep him in the pocket longer. And Brady's offensive line this season hasn't been amazing. I mean, he's definitely been gotten to on multiple occasions. So I think the Eagles can make it close. I just think, just like last game, when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, to the final play at the end, who are you going to trust? Are you going to trust Foles or are you going to trust Brady? And I think you go with Brady. Another reason is Belichick always preaches this when he goes into a Super Bowl. Don't get distracted by the stage. Don't get distracted by the experience. There's a long halftime with the halftime show. You got to keep yourself up in between quarters. So I think that is another advantage that the Patriots have. They've been there now 8 times, so they'll know how to go about it. And I'm thinking that Foles and Peterson might get a little bit starry-eyed, which gives Brady and Belichick another advantage.
Well, I think when you look at how the teams match up, the Philly defense pretty similar to what Jacksonville looks like. They have some good options up front. Chris Long has been a monster year for them, getting to the quarterback. Coming off playing the Patriots last year, he'll know a little bit on how to get to Brady. But ultimately, I do think that if the Eagles, like you said, are able to keep up the pressure, and if they're in a position that they're up like the Jaguars were in the fourth quarter, I don't think Brady and the Patriots will be able to come back against them. I think that they'll have the option of throwing to guys like Nelson Aguilar, Torrey Smith, Alshon Jeffrey. They have a lot more weapons than the Jaguars did. But ultimately, I agree with you. I think, if it comes down to quarterback and coach, if you always try and take the best combo there, and you have to go with the Patriots on this one to win their 6th championship. And they're going to be tied with the Steelers for the most. I mean, they've done this in the history of the NFL. I was looking at that, and I was like, wow, you know what? Steelers have won 6. I think the Niners and Cowboys are second at 5, tied with the Patriots. But if the Patriots end up taking it this year, they've done this all in 17 seasons, which takes us back to the Jordan versus Brady argument. If they do it this time, Tom Brady, you are the greatest professional sports team athlete of our time.
Yeah, and I think final score is going to be 27-24 Patriots.
Okay. You heard it here.
Yep. And if you see me next week and I don't look so good, that's probably because the Patriots lost. So, yeah, for Jazz King, I'm Anthony Chirelli. Thanks for watching.